Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video here on HD Pocket. Today we're going to be breaking down some of the best new decks that you can make in the latest expansion, Triumphant Light for Pokemon TCG Pocket. Let's get into it. So, starting things off, these are all taken from Pokemon Zone. They're not the most meta decks out there, but they are the best decks that you could probably make with the new expansion cards that we do have in Pokemon TCG Pocket. Because a lot of the cards aren't that good. You know, you got cards like Tyranitar and stuff like that they just don't do enough for how much energy they cost. And I get that the whole gimmick with this TCG set is to pair them all with Arceus, and that only really is beneficial with Pokemon like Crobat and stuff. But either way, let's take a look at these decks and how they kind of are used and how you can utilize them and stuff like that. So this is the first one, which is Dialga EX. So originally when we saw the Arceus card, we knew that Dialga would definitely benefit from it because any colorless card can really get put with Dialga because it just gives you free energy every single turn, which is obviously 2 extra than you'd usually be able to get. But either way, in this deck, we have Shaman Skyform, which is a very, very nice support card because basically, as long as this Pokemon is on your bench, your active Pokemon, your active basic Pokemon, should I say, retreat cost is 1 less. So obviously, all of these are basic Pokemon, so it doesn't you don't have to worry about maybe not being able to do it, because again, none of them evolve. So yeah, we've got Shaman Skyform, we've got 2 Arceus, 2 Dialga, 1 Mew, 2 Pokeballs, 2 Potions, 1 Dawn, 1 Giant Cape, 1 Giovanni, 2 Leaf, 2 Professor's Research, 2 Rocky Helmet, and then 1 Sabrina as well. And then to use this deck, you basically, Dialga EX got 2 support pieces. The Archetype was sorely missing. Shaman provides a toolbox-style retreat aid, which can lessen the burden on finding Leaf to pivot out of your namesake ramping metal dinosaur. Arceus EX gives an additional, or an actual basic attacking threat that caps out higher than Heatran without the self-damage downside. So the exact support count is still in the air, but I'm leaning towards the 2 times Leaf anyway, just to ensure the maximum ability to pivot to whoever my primary attacker ends up being. It could be that the second copy of Dawn finds its way back into the deck to more consistently enable heavy impact on Dialga EX's second attack. Giovanni feels like a requirement in order to shift Arceus EX's damage breakpoints to hit more one-shot KOs easier. Because obviously with Arceus, you're doing 130 damage, which is obviously very, very nice, but it's just 10 shy of a lot of Pokemon like Arceus itself, 140, Darkrai, 140. So being able to Geo for that extra bit of damage to knock out a lot of Pokemon is very, very useful. So that's why I think Geo is really good. For me, I'd probably put 2 Dawns in this deck. I just feel like with Dawn and Dialga, it's just such a good combination because you can just throw energy anywhere into your active Pokemon. So it's just very, very beneficial. And then it says, we still don't have an attacker that can attack before our second attacking turn, so be careful of being tempoed out of the game before you get a chance to get the ramp rolling. So this is the first deck. Again, not the most meta deck in my opinion, but it's probably the best thing that you can probably do with Dialga and Arceus. Again, probably not as good as we were expecting it to be, but either way, that's the first deck. The next one is Power Link Carnivine. So this has 2 Magnemite, 2 Magneton, 2 Carnivine, which is the new Carnivine in the Triumphant Light TCG set, 2 Magnezone, 2 Arceus, 2 Pokeball, 2 Pokemon Collections, or Pokemon Communication, should I say, 1 Cyrus, 1 Dawn, 1 Geo, 2 Professor Researchers, and then 1 Sabrina. And then the whole gimmick of this deck is, sadly, Baby Arceus is unplayable trash, meaning in order to enable Carnivine's Power Link ability, we need to risk 2 points. Thankfully, Arceus EX is a totally serviceable attacker, and we can play effectively a variant of the popular Skarmory/Magnezone aggressive deck that has a different setup condition. Because basically with Carnivine, its abilities, if you have Arceus or Arceus EX in play, attacks used by this Pokemon do plus 30 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So very similar to how Skarmory works. You basically have to have a tool attached, you can do 50 damage. In this situation, if Arceus is on your bench, you just do 50 damage. So quite nice there. I mean, Arceus can find its way in any single deck, so you could potentially run a sort of Celebi, Arceus, Carnivine sort of situation. It probably isn't going to be as good, but this is just a different variation that obviously you can do. And I mean, Magnezone kind of works in any deck as well because you can just get the electric energy from Volt Charge on Magneton. And then it says, I can't remember where I was at. The reason I'm intrigued by Carnivine is the ability to hit 2-hit KO Darkrai EX and Weavile EX. thanks to hitting for weakness, which is very, very true. So I could see this actually getting a lot of play, which Skarmory cannot manage. Pokemon Communication is doubly required, as we need to hit our Carnivine Arceus EX combo, but we also want to find our stage 2 line as soon as possible. And then alternative options is the Leafeon, Erica over the Magnezone line, and X speed. So this is just a variation of this, but I think a lot of grass decks will I mean, they got a boost with like Leafeon. Carnivine's pretty nice as well, as long as you have an Arceus. So yeah, really, really nice there. This is probably the best deck you can probably make out of Triumphant Light, in my opinion. I really, really like this deck. Cunning Link Crobat. So this is 2 Zubat, 2 Golbat, 2 Crobat, 2 Arceus, 2 Darkrai, 2 Pokeball, 2 Pokemon Communications, 1 Cyrus, 2 Dawn, should I say, 2 Professor Researchers, and then also a Sabrina card as well. So this deck works really, really well together, because you're getting the damage from Darkrai every turn, which is 20. And then if you have Arceus in play, you're doing another 30 damage from Crobat. So that's 50 damage there. And then if Arceus is in your active spot, and you have a full bench, you're hitting 130. So that's 180 damage there, which is just ridiculous. Like, nothing can really survive that. So there's the main advantage Crobat and Arceus EX can claim over Magnezone variants is pure damage potential. Cunning Link plus Nightmare Aura plus a full bench Ultimate Force threatens a massive 180 damage in 1 turn, easily muscling through even Charizard EX and a Caped Executor EX. Similarly to the Power Link deck, 2 copies of Pokemon Communication is a hard requirement. As we want to be attacking with Arceus EX at some point, we also find room for 2 copies of Dawn in order to get value off of Nightmare Aura. The Golbat you choose is a personal preference. I'm electing for the 40 damage over the 80 HP in order to maximize the value we can get for attacking on curve going first. So yeah, that's the good thing about the Golbat as well. There's like variations that you can use for it, but Crobat, Darkrai, and Arceus is just a very, very good triple up. Might be quite difficult to get them all out at the same time, but at the end of the day, it's still heavy damage whether you have Arceus and Crobat or Arceus and Darkrai, still hitting for a lot every single turn. So this is probably one of the better decks. And then the last one that we're going over is Dark Barry, should I say. So for this deck, you have 2 Starly, 2 Staravia, 2 Staraptor, 2 Darkrai EX, 2 Pokeballs, 2 Pokemon Communications, 2 Barrys, 2 Cyrus, 2 Dawn, and 2 Professor Research. So a lot of supporter cards in this deck, but it does work quite well. So now we get into a bit of spice. So Triumphant Light Staraptor is an intriguing option in place of Magnezone and Greninja as the stage 2 of choice to accompany Darkrai EX for, again, sheer damage output. So Staraptor's Brave Bird clocks in at a frankly absurd 130 damage, with the downside of sustaining some self-damage. But in exchange, we can attack for the low cost of just 1 energy thanks to Barry. So if you don't know what Barry does, basically during this turn, attacks used by your Snorlax, Heracross, and Staraptor cost 2 less energy. So this is really, really good, because for 1 energy, Staraptor can hit for 130, which is just ridiculous. And then obviously if you pop a Dark Energy on Darkrai, that's 150. That's enough to knock out a lot of Pokemon, like your Dialgas, your Palkias, stuff like that. So this works really, really well, in my opinion. And there's obviously alternate options as well. You can do Retreat Tech and additional attack and basic. But anyway, we use 2 copies of Dawn to, again, gain some value off of the energy that had been committed to our Darkrai EX once we need to start attacking for the actual printed cost on Staraptor. Obviously, you can't use Dawn and Barry in the same turn, so just remember that when you're using that. But definitely a really, really nice variation on the Staraptor. I still think this is probably the best one, but I think this is very, very cheeky. I think this could do a lot of damage. Other decks as well you're looking at are probably like the Irida water deck. I mean, there's not really going to be a lot of change to that deck. You're just going to be putting Irida in instead of something else, which is, again, I don't know why we're getting so much water support, but Palkia, I think, is probably going to be the meta now, because you can literally heal up to 160 HP in 1 turn. If you have damage on, let's say you have a full bench and an active Pokemon, they've all got a water energy on them, and they've all taken a little bit of damage, you can heal 40 on one, 40 on another, 40 on one, and then 40 on another, just from 1 supporter card. So that's absolutely broken. I think Cyrus is going to be seen a lot more in decks because of that, because damaging a Pokemon a little bit in a water deck now is just obsolete, because Irida will just heal that HP back. And it's 40 as well. It's not like it's 20. 40, which is ridiculous. So Cyrus being able to bring that Pokemon back in and knock it out before they can irradiate that HP back is obviously very, very useful. So those are a couple of the decks that you can be using in the new Triumphant Light expansion. I haven't really seen like Garchomp in that much. I tried it out on stream a little bit earlier. Not sure how it's really working because obviously Cynthia doesn't work with it because it's an EX card. It's a little bit unfortunate. But for me, I think, yeah, Cunning Link, Crobat, and probably the Staraptor are some of the best decks you can probably run. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like down below. Leave a comment. What decks have you been using in Triumphant Light so far? Subscribe if you're brand new. Ring the notification bell. It's everything from me. Have a great rest of your day. And until next time, peace.